down some.
Why?
Which one do you like better? Ain't nobody can hear you, guys.
Put on, he had went into DKA, and that's really important to know about these insulin pumps. And I mean, we did know that going into it, but we didn't know it was that serious, and we didn't know it would happen that fast. But I say this to say this to all. Let me make sure I'm in the camera. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to make sure I'm like right there, because I'm trying to make sure you guys can see me. All right, guys, we are back with Kyrie's insulin pump tutorial, setup, and review.
No.
So this is Kyrie's insulin pump. This is Kyrie's insulin pump. He has the T Slim. This is the on-screen locking mechanism that has the on button right here that we're going to hit. 1, 2, 3. This is also attached to his CGM, which is his continuous glucose monitor. This shows what his sugar is currently now, and it's showing what it has been in the past 3 hours. And you can just keep going. It shows you 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. So it shows you everything there, which is pretty cool. You have your options to resume insulin. I guess someone stopped his insulin. It has his pump features, his CGM features, and his temperature rate. So I'm going to go down because we're actually doing a change of his site now, and that's in options. Kyrie is cold because we have the fan on. We're going to go in to change the cartridge. Stop, Kai.
Cold.
Stop.
Cold.
Wait a minute. It stops his insulin, and then we're going to disconnect him. Now we have Kyrie here, the little skinny guy. Here is his belt that he keeps his insulin pump in, and here is his CGM that plays a big role in this. His insulin, as you can see, where you're supposed to move your hands a little bit, Kai. Where you're supposed to put your insulin pump is over here in the belly area, but Kyrie is relatively a thin guy. He's like 55 pounds. As of, when did we go to the doctors?
I don't remember.
He's 55 pounds, and I think he's probably just 50 pounds. So it's supposed to go somewhere. Let me zoom in some, guys. It's supposed to go somewhere around here, but he's really skinny. He doesn't have that much fat, so we don't put it there. So where we put it, hold your pump real quick. We put it on the side of him. Sorry, guys. This may be a little TMI, but we're not going to show you everything. We put it right here on his little booty cheek. Hold your underwear real quick. Just hold it. We're going to zoom in so you guys can see. This is how it is. Can you disconnect it, Kai? If you were taking a shower, show us how you would disconnect it. So, as you guys can see, to disconnect that part, hold on, you would keep this part intact, and then you would disconnect the wires and everything. So essentially, this is the piece that disconnects when he takes a shower or when we're charging it, and we just plug it up. Now we're going to, since we're doing the site change, we're going to tell him, turn around, Kai, and take it off. Be careful. All right, hold on. Let's make sure. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Watch out. Hold on. And here is his scar from the little needle, as you can see right there. And you can put your underwear up. All right, guys, I'm going to flip the camera back around. No, actually, I'm not. So hold that really quickly. Just hold it. Hold it. Let's see if we can get it up close. So this is actually the piece that goes in him. And you see the little plastic cannula? That is what goes into him, and it stays. But what we had an issue with this cannula, because it's plastic, it's really, it's a little thicker than the Dexcom G6 cannula. I'm so ashy, guys. Good Lord. It sometimes gets bent, and when it gets bent, I'm trying to bend it like that. This is what happened when we had it in his stomach. It got bent like that, which is really horrible. Go ahead. Kyerson left, so now it's my cigarette break. You guys know I like to smoke my cigarettes. So anyway, this is what gets bent. And you guys can't see it that way, but this camera is not really focusing the way I need it to focus. This little cannula got bent maybe 3 days after he got his insulin pump. All right, so now Kyra's upstairs while I try to set this stuff up. I normally try not to take all day to do this, but since this is for video purposes and his sugar is at 71, we're pretty good for right now. So back to the story time, because I told you guys I would have a story with this insulin pump. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this T-Slim. I love it better than the Omnipod for a lot of reasons. The only thing that really had me for the Omnipod was that it was wireless. But this Tandem T Slim is sort of like the iPhone and insulin pumps. And the Omnipod is like an Android. Nonetheless, this also, when I say this also, I mean the T Slim also is compatible with his G6, which means that he does not have to, if you have a G6, you know that you have a receiver that comes with the G6. But once you have the T Slim, you don't have to carry both of those things around, because now this is all in one. It piggybacks off of whatever the G6 is saying, and it goes right into this T Slim. So therefore, you don't need both pieces of equipment. Now, back to what happened. So maybe 3 or 4 days after he got his initial site put on with the actual insulin and everything in it, the doctor, and as you can see, is disconnected from him, but the G6 is still working. So now it's telling us what his sugar is because he just ate cereal. So anyway, when he had it on, the cannula, like I showed you, got bent. And we didn't know that. You don't know that until it's too late, or his sugars are not going down. But his sugars were working. They were going down, but they were going down, but I guess it still wasn't enough. Stop stomping. Go sit down. I will call you when I'm ready for you. It wasn't working. So therefore, he went into DKA almost instantaneously. Like, I'm not even joking with you guys. Like, he went into DKA within like 4 hours. And I had to take him to the hospital. And he was admitted, of course, because all diabetic patients that are in DKA, they get admitted. He wasn't that far into DKA, which is diabetoketoacidosis, if some of you guys don't know. He got admitted because he had large ketones. And normally on a sick day with diabetic kids, you know they get ketones. And your endocrine doctor, they tell you how to combat the ketones. Either you're flushing it out with water, or you're giving them extra insulin just to keep it at bay and try to get the ketones down. I don't prefer to do it that way because, again, Kyrie is a relatively small framed kid. So once he gets sick, I much rather take him to the hospital and let them do whatever they need to do. So that's one thing you guys have to be mindful of when you get this, that you have to make sure the cannula is not bent. There are 2 other different sets of cannulas that you can use. I'm sorry, infusion sets, because that's what they're called. Infusion sets that you can use. They have a little longer needle. But since I stick it on his butt, I don't have that many issues anymore. Because like I said, when I showed you guys, he's small. So he doesn't have a lot of fat anywhere. Like, he's just a small frame kid. So we don't have that luxury of finding like, okay, yeah, his stomach has a little bit of fat. No, he doesn't have that. So in his leg, I don't really try to do that because he's an active little boy. And again, Nalim is around and Nalim likes to pull things. So we do it that way. But that's something that you guys need to be aware of coming into this whole little insulin pump thing, because don't get me wrong, that is one thing that will scare the life out of you. But it's also a lifesaver, and it's also convenient. It's discreet and it's convenient. Like, you don't have to carry around a pouch like I normally do. And don't get me wrong, he's had the N pen. I love the N pen as well. But my card doesn't have to look like a trap star, or that I just do a lot of drugs, explicit drugs. So I like this for that fact, and I like the fact that now he's sort of like a normal kid. He doesn't feel like, okay, you have to stop everything you're doing to go get a needle and this, that, and the third to give him medicine. Now it's just like, okay, I can just pull him to the side and just type some numbers in and he's going. So that way, he doesn't have to explain to people that don't know he's diabetic, and he doesn't have to have the unnecessary stares. Because again, like I said, he's 7 now, so he's fully aware of what his disease is. He's fully aware that he's stuck with this for the rest of his life. He's fully aware that nobody else in the house has diabetes but him. And that plays a lot with his mental at this point, because now he's older. So it affects him a little differently when he has friends and everybody else that doesn't have to do the things that he has to do to stay alive. So if I can help him as much as I can to alleviate some of his issues, then this is the best thing I can do. Like, this is the best thing besides him having the pancreas. If I can take my pancreas out and give it to him, I so would. But since I can't, this is the best thing that I can do. When we first got it, it was a little intimidating, because I will show you what the occlusion sites look like and how it initially made me feel looking at it. But I walked around for like 4 days with the... That's Nair being such a loser.
What's that, Slime? Listen, when I turn 18s, I'm gonna start a dirt bike channel. So listen, follow me at oneway_nah. Follow me on Instagram at RBG_nah. Alright, Sally.
Anyway, like I was saying, I was a little intimidated by the site. I thought it might have hurt it once we put it on him, but I put it on and I felt no pain. Like, it felt like a little pinch. And again, I had fat on my stomach because, again, I had 5 kids, so I have a lot of extra skin. I'm not going to say it's fat. There's a lot of extra skin on my stomach, so therefore, I didn't really feel too much going in. It was a little uncomfortable for a couple of hours. That was it. The most I can say that I felt was like, it was a little itchy as far as the adhesive goes. It was a little itchy on my skin. But other than that, I was chilling. So I don't have too many issues as far as that. And if this can help any other parents, adults, anybody, or grandparents, or anybody that have somebody that has a T-Slim, or you're interested in getting a T-Slim, because I know that was one of my big issues. I was so confused and conflicted on what I should get for him and would it be best for us. It was a process. I did a lot of research on this, and I mean, when I say a lot of research, I did a lot of research for like a year to figure out what was the best option for Kair and what was the best option for us. And this is the best option. So now we're going to get into his supplies and what is needed to change this pump. So I'm going to have to flip and flop this video back and forth around so you guys can see what I'm doing, and my cigarette won't go out. So it's like a lot of smoke in here. I'm trying to stop smoking, guys, please. So don't come for me. Anyway, so this is, I'm going to close the boxes up. This is his box, and this has insulin pump, and this is his cartridges in here, and it's a month's supply that comes in this box. And this is also his infusion sets, and it comes in a separate box. The infusion sets is the wire and everything that is attached to him. So this is how it comes, and we get this in a monthly supply, and you change this every 3 days. And this is how the set looks, which is his infusion sets. There's normally a bunch of them in here. And again, if you watch any of my previous videos, I keep all the Kyrie's diabetic supplies inside of his little drawer over there with everything in there. This is his site, his little pump thing. This is everything for that part. And of course, you need insulin. I haven't went to Rite Aid to get his prescriptions, so I'm so ghetto. But since he has in-pen vials left, and he has a good portion of Humalog left in here, I'm going to use these. Normally, you would just use your regular vial of Humalog or whatever they give you, as far as his fast-acting insulin. That's what I have. So I'm going to use them. This is his cartridge, and I'll take this all out, but it's all wrapped up for sanitation purposes. Cartridge, and I'll show you guys how we're going to disassemble everything in a second. This box is empty now. And it comes with a syringe, and it comes with a needle. So let's get down to business with changing his pump. So now, here we go. I'm hoping you guys can see everything. It's telling me, again, he's too far away from me now, but it's showing me that. So I'm going to go in. 1, 2, 3. Now, it gives you this menu, and you guys can't read that, so I'll read it for you. Remove the cartridge and install filled cartridge. Press unlock when complete. So, in the back, you see the little nodule. It comes with the key, but I have nails. So, I just take my nail and pop the old cartridge out. Old cartridge. Most of the time, he'll still have insulin in here because, again, he's still young, so he doesn't require a lot of insulin, but I much rather put more than less in here. So, this is done. You dispose of it whichever way you feel comfortable disposing of it, but this one is now done. That goes in the trash. So now you set up your needle. Actually, I'm lying. You open up the cartridge first. This is what I normally do. And make sure your hands are washed and stuff. So here is the cartridge. And this little white nodule right there is where we're going to put the insulin. That little hole. That's that part. This process can take you anywhere from 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's up to you. I don't really rush this process because this is a really important part, and this is an important step to make sure that your child is getting the insulin and make sure that you're doing everything properly. So here is the syringe. It's just a regular syringe, as you can see. And here's the needle. Don't worry, this needle may look long to you guys, like, oh my God, but we're not sticking him with the needle. Here is the needle. Don't worry, guys, I've stuck myself with these needles a million times. So at this point, it's just like, whatever. Normally, what you would do for the regular insulin that's in the regular vial, you would draw back the air to whatever Kyrie's set number is, right in between the 1 and the 1.5. I normally give him a little more just because, again, he's 7. You never know what he's going to eat. But that's what I do. And that's what you would normally do if you're putting it into a regular syringe. But since I'm using these vials here, which is not like a traditional vial, because, again, there's a big hole in the back. So you can't really push air into this. So what I normally do is, he's still going to beep. Sorry, guys. and I draw up all his insulin out of every vial that I can get, because I like to get all my insulin out of everything. I need all my insulin because insulin is high. So that one didn't really give me much. That's like a half. That may take him for the whole day, but I had 2 extra ones. So then I draw out the rest of the insulin from the other one. And that's the end of these cartridges. They're done. I feel like it's not, but it's like a bunch of air in that one. There's a lot of air in that one. So what I do is, again, you need to, you can cap the needle if you want. You need to make sure there's no air bubbles in this syringe at all. Like, no air bubbles. And I know you guys probably can't see that well. I know. But you need to make sure there's no air bubbles in here whatsoever. None. That can be a little painstaking to make sure there's no air bubbles in there. But you need to make sure there's no air bubbles in there. Next, this is another important piece of this. You get your syringe, and then again, you put it in that little white hole right here. It's not going to go all the way in. So then, with this, there's a little vacuum seal pouch in here. You're going to pull all the air out. And normally what I like to do is I pull and then I hold the back. That's just my thing. You don't have to do that. And then I let it come back up. And I do that for a while. I do that just for a safety precaution for myself, because I don't want any air bubbles in there. You don't have to be OD like me, but this is my child's life, so I'm going to be a tad bit OD about it. So that's that, and you keep on doing it until you feel comfortable. Normally I do this like 4 or 5 times. I legit do it like 4 or 5 times. Sometimes I do it a little more, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do it that long, because you guys are probably like, what in the hell, how long is she going to do this? So I don't do it that long for you guys. And I try to push any bubbles that I see up to the top while I'm doing that. It's not, I know it looks really crazy on here, but there's not too many, there's not any bubbles literally in here. But that's what I like to do. And then I do it one more time. And then we let it go. Then we take that back out. I told you guys I'm OD. And then I just make sure there's nothing in there. Turn it down some now. Turn it down some now. Nair. Turn it down some. Pump them out. Sometimes you get air bubbles from this, sometimes you don't. Now, next, you go back in. I know this seems a little daunting. You go back in, push it back, and then your insulin is now in. You normally hear a crack of the plastic as it's expanding, but since Nair has the TV on, you won't hear that. So now we go back in, and as you can see, he's out of range. So that's why it's giving me that error, because he's out of range. And up top, it tells me, he has no insulin in there, because again, we don't have anything in. So now it's telling us we need to change the cartridge. It took us a little longer. Now we're going to put this back in the bag. It's going to slide in. You're going to press next. Now it's detecting the cartridge that we just put in there. So sometimes this takes a couple of seconds. Sometimes it takes a minute or two. It depends on what's going on with it. So as you can see, it's moving up in the ladder. And I think I'm gonna switch this camera around so you guys can see a little differently. Cartridge change. All right, now you guys can see, make sure the set is disconnected from your body and securely connect the tube into the cartridge. So this is the next part that we're about to do, which I don't know how I'm gonna do this with you guys sitting like this. Okay, so all right, so now we're going to set the tubing up. Just rip all this stuff off. Plastic. Be sure not to take the back part off yet. That's not the part that we're working with right now. We're working with the top part. So here's a little lip right here that you can just pop open. And here is his site, this infusion set. So here's his infusion set. This is the tubing. Here is the cannula with the needle. And here's the back part that you don't have to take off right now. Do not take that off right now at all. So what we're going to do is there's a little lip right here. And I'm going to try to do this with one hand. And be careful with this stuff, guys. Here's the tubing, all of it in its grandeur. And here is the end piece that we are going to connect to this. So I'm probably going to get Nah to help me do this a little easier because it has to go in here. Nah, come here real quick. Don't worry, it's still going to beep because he's nowhere near us. So I'm waiting for Nah to come help us, and he's going to connect this tube into here. Connect it to there. It's a twist on, guys. I'm trying to, his hands are like really huge. Just twist it on. All right. Oh God, that was tight. So it's a twist on. Then we're going to come back in. No, get off my stuff. No.
Did you try to?
So now we're going to go back in and fill tubing. So normally what I do is I set it up like that so that way the insulin is coming in. And then you're going to get this that it says make sure that it says, you know, you got that part already. I read that to you. So now it's going to ask us to start filling the tubing. And this is when you check for air bubbles. And this is what I normally do. And you'll wait quite a while for this insulin to get through. It's pushing through. Now, you see all those little tiny air bubbles? Those are not supposed to be there. And then you're waiting for the 1 drop. 2 drops, actually, I'm sorry. So you just wait for that 2 drops. And then you press stop. Normally it's like at 14. If I see some bubbles, I'll keep pushing it out until I know that it's all the way clear for me. You don't have to do what I do. But alright. Now you'll see this. If you see drops at the end of the tubing, press done. If no insulin drops, so notice, press fill and continue filling. It also told me how much I filled up. Now, we filled the tubing. This is a step that you can do. Sometimes, the doctor told me I don't have to do this part, but I like to do it now, but you don't have to.
What the?
What? All right, so now we're back to do the next part. Make sure it's zoomed in so you can see everything.
Yeah, no.
I press next. I'm starting my cannula. You don't have to start this process, but I start my fill and this automatically stops on its own. When it's done, I can't hear, so now you're gonna have to tell me when to stop.
It will still stop. It should stop.
Okay. Then it also gives you a reminder on when you need to change it, because like I said, every 3 days you have to change this pump site. So it gives you a reminder and it will beep. So I set save, and it saves everything for me. Everything is done. You'll see all the green check marks. Everything is done as far as that part goes. And then we'll press done, and then it'll tell me to test his blood glucose. And then, of course, since we stopped the insulin, it's going to tell me to resume his insulin. We're not going to start that part yet. Come on. Stop. And like I said, since he's little, I normally have him lay on my leg. Come on. Lay down. He doesn't want to lay down all the time. And I like, can you see everything?
Mm-hmm.
Since it was on his butt on this side, I like to alternate his sides. So now I come in on this side and I check to see where it hasn't been. Because again, you'll see bumps, you'll see the little holes, because again, it gets switched every 3 days. So essentially, he's seeing that side a lot more often than you need to see it. Make sure you properly cleanse the area. Make sure it's really clean. I'm like a little OD with this sometimes. Sometimes I'll go in with alcohol. Sometimes I'll go in, no, I'm not saying sometimes. I go in with the alcohol, the Unisol wipes, and then after that's all done, I'll go in with the peroxide, and then I'll come back again and do it again. Just to make sure that it's clean. It's a clean area, and I know you guys are probably looking like, how many times is she gonna wipe this boy butt cheek? I know. And it's not that much dirt coming off, but still, I like to make sure that it's clean. I don't like to leave anything to guess with. So I tried to cover that, and excuse me if you guys see little baby porn, like, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So this lovely apparatus has nodules on the edges. We're going to do this while we're waiting for his stuff to dry. It has nodules around the edges. There's one there, and there's one here. Normally how I like to set my nodules is to whatever side is on, so that way his pump and everything is all on that one side. So now we'll take this part off. This all comes off. And here's his sticky part. That's everything that's sticky. Be careful not to touch that part. Ew. And then, of course, since I'm sugar honey iced tea. You guys weren't supposed to hear that. Fudge nuts. Kyra is moving so much, guys, and I'm trying to do everything because he's being like really a bratty kid right now. All right, and here is the cannula right there. Be careful not to touch that sticky part, guys, because it's really sticky. Don't use your mouth for stuff like I do. That's not really good neither. But I'm rich. Here's the back part of it. And we're going to pull it back. And then these indentations, you have two on both sides. That's to hold it and secure it. And these two indentations is to fudge. Let it go.
That ain't good.
Don't do what I just did, guys. That was like so rich. I'm trying to.
Rich. When did you come up with that word?
Fuck nuts. So like we're gonna have to get another cannula, guys. So give me 2 seconds and I'll come right back to you. Nope, I never stay still. This is why I have to do it twice, because most of the time you have a bratty little kid like him. So now you have to do all that stuff all over again, because nothing is filled in there now. The tubing is not filled. Nothing is filled. So this is the part where Kyra is a butt muncher. But have to go back in. And I'm happy that happened because now you guys can see what may happen. So I'm just gonna go back in, close my pump, and we're gonna do it all over again. My pump, load, change cartridge next. We're just going, when that happens, you have to go back and do everything all over again. So we're just going, you're going to get the same detecting cartridge step. And I know that's a little daunting because you legit just did it. And sometimes you have a little kid that doesn't want to sit still. So while we're waiting for that to detect, I'm going to start the rest of the process because you guys already seen how that works. So I'm going to start this filling of the tubing again, thanks to my son, because he doesn't want to stay still. So it's going to push all this stuff out, and then we have to wait again. So this is another reason why I technically, and this is how you want to hold it since Nair is holding the camera. This is how you want to hold it so you can push everything out. That normally works out. And you'll see air bubbles. If you do, there's a couple of air bubbles coming up now. I don't know if now I can zoom in and see the air bubbles, but they're right there.
Oh, you can see the little one right there.
So you can see some of the air bubbles coming down. And like I said, this is why I overfill his reservoir, so that way we won't have these issues. And Kyrie is just like a brat. So don't pay him any mind. And then you'll wait for the 2 drops. Again, I normally tap it. And I just wait. Alright, and then we stop it. So it stops the fill and it's telling the computer that we're done. We're seeing the 2 drops. And let me know when it goes to the next screen.
I'm getting bored.
Okay, Kyle.
Next screen.
It tells you, and we're going to go back to fill the cannula. You guys seen that part, but we're going to do it again thanks to my lovely little person here named Kyrie. And then it stops that. You don't have to worry about that part. We go back and save the reminders. Blase blah, blase blah. Now we're getting back to the part that we were supposed to do. Come on, sit up some, Kyle. So, be careful on how you're doing this stuff. But he has a good doctor where so they know sometimes having a little person his age, they don't stay still. And again, sometimes these things mess up on their own, so it doesn't work. So pull it back. You guys seen that part, so you don't need to see that part. Zoom in so that way they can get this in. Make sure you have it placed wherever you want it to go. And again, like I said, hold these 2 indented areas while you're figuring out where you want it to go. These 2 parts right here is the injecting part once it's ready to go. I normally like to do a countdown with Kai just to make sure that I properly see this.
Just underwear. This side, yeah.
1,
2, 3. Hold it down. I like to hold it down for a couple of seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then pull it out. Here is the needle that actually sticks them, injects it in. It's quite long. I don't think you don't feel it that much. But that is the needle. You go around the site, make sure it's secure. Then you go back in and you resume the insulin. And he's at 251, as you can see, guys, because of the cereal that he ate. So now, his cereal was 56, and I don't know what his carbs were. 251. So 56 is the carbs that he's eating. And then 251 is his sugar right now. Press next. It gives you what you need to do. It does all the math for you. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Let me go back. So also with the carbs, let me say. So if you wanted to do it the long way, he had 32 carbs in the cereal, 12 in the milk, and then whatever. You can just keep adding. And there you go. It gives you whatever he has. So you still get the same number. It takes all that stuff away. You also have the calculations and it shows you everything. You go back, press next. It asks you again. It asks you again. It's delivering his insulin. And this tells us that he has 60 units of insulin in. And it's bolusing his insulin now. Bolusing, again, most of you guys should know that that's him getting his insulin. It's giving him his 2 in, I don't know how much. Wait, Kyrie. 2 in whatever he had to get. Sometimes it takes a while to go all the way through. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It all depends on, I don't know what it depends on. So I'm not going to lie to you guys about that. But you also have the feature here that you can stop it if you want to. I don't necessarily do that. And we'll wait for this to tell us when he's done getting his 2.33 units of insulin. It may take a while. So Nair will tell us when it's done. If it beeps. Yeah, you can stand up. Stay still.
That's taking quite long, longer than what it usually does.
Yeah, I think because we're recording it, it's taking a little longer than what it normally does. It's so weird. So how do you like your insulin pump, Kyle? How do you like it? Nothing? Do you like your insulin pump?
Do you think it's better than getting like needles every day?
Why do you like the needles better? Huh? Because you want to run. Besides that, Kyrie, do you like your insulin pump or no? Yes or no? YouTuber people want to know. Okay, so his insulin is done. It tells you how much insulin he has on board right now, which is what he just got. The wonderful part about this is that even if even if you do give him this, even if you do give him that and he decides to eat something else, you can go back in and put the carbs in, and they'll continue to give him more insulin. Again, whatever you give him. It also has where you can change his settings. It gives you his pump history, his CGM history. It gives you all those cool things right in here. So that way you don't have any issues and you don't have anything that you need to worry about. It also is safeguarded that whereas though once he is done, he can't play with it. He can't do anything to it. So again, what do you like about the insulin pump? Wait a minute, we're talking to you. Come back. Stop pushing him. So what do you like about your insulin pump? So what is your features that makes you, do you feel like a normal little boy now with this?
No. I still feel like...
I can't hear you.
I still feel like I'm holding something.
You still feel like you're holding something. So is this better than getting needles all the time, or do you like the needles? We can't hear you. They can't hear you. You have to tell them, not me.
You can tell me.